Hello, Robbins County, and welcome to Inside Athletics here at WNCP TV. I'm your host, Jonathan Bim from the Robinsonian newspaper in Lumberton, North Carolina. And joining me once again, as always, Dolphus Pearson from Carolina News Today and also of NCPreps.com. So,
Yes,
Dolphus, with NC Preps, you've had the experience this weekend of getting to see some of the state's top high school football athletes out there at Mallard Creek. So just tell me a little bit about what you got to experience at the VTO Regional Combine.
Absolutely. As you stated, it was the VTO qualifying combine for the Rivals three-stripe combine. That's going to be in late April, as well as VTO Elite 100 combine that's going to be in early May. Had over 185 guys come out there, guys from all over the East Coast. We had guys from Georgia, Virginia, Florida, even guys from, up northern area and everything like that. But the biggest thing, man, we had some guys from Robertson County out there representing. We had 5 guys from Purnell Sweat, Matthew Locklear, Chandler Brayboy, Paul Oxendon, Rufus Harris, and Joshua Williams. All of those guys, they got in Coach Sherman's truck, and, they made the 2-hour trip, so I was glad to see them. And, they just had an excellent outing. It was good to see those guys. Had some guys from Jack Britt as well, Glenn Young, Michael Matthews. So, it was just good to see guys from the area come out and compete. And the biggest thing I told them, man, I said, most of these guys you're never going to see again. You get to compare your talent to where everybody else is at. And this is also a sign to show you that guys are working as well, just like you. So, you can't take it lightly. They had a great day of competition. A lot of guys, had never tested before, had never ran the 40, had never did the 5-10-5 shuttle. So it was good for them to go out there and, kind of get a feel for where they were at. And like I said, just compare themselves against, some of the top talents from around the state. So it was good to see.
Yeah, you mentioned they don't get to see those kids a lot. Maybe once or twice those guys will go to like a Mallard Creek or an Independence and see those guys, but they're not really getting to compete, get to see what they're doing up close because they're opposite the line of scrimmage from them. But what did you see? Was there coaches, college coaches? Was there exposure from maybe the college level there? Or?
Yeah, well, now, college coaches don't really attend, camps and combines, things like that. I was present, on behalf of NC Preps and Rivals.com. My publisher, Deanna King, who's been running NC Preps since 2001, she was there as well. So, for us to be out there, we had several write-ups. I wrote about 4 or 5 stories following the combine, highlighting some of the top performers. Deanna was out there getting, interviews with some of the top guys. It was just good because, a lot of guys, like I said, they follow us on Twitter and they retweeted all of the content and things like that. But, I try to tell them, I'm like, man, hey, we're here to help you all. That's why we're here. I'll try to talk to as many kids as I can, things like that. But, we try to get everybody onto the site. It's kind of a tough thing to do. But like I said, we were definitely out there trying to get some of those guys that, might not have the exposure, trying to give them a little boost and help them going into the summer, camp and combine circuit and everything like that.
Yeah, and so who are some of those guys locally? I know you've talked about a couple guys like Chandler Brayboy from Purnell Sweat, the 2 guys from Jack Britt. What were some of the guys that really stood out in your mind?
Oh, I definitely have to start off with Chandler Brayboy. I was a big advocate of, getting Brayboy out there. I knew, 1,100 yards as a junior, 13 touchdowns. One of the top receivers in the state.
And there he is right there.
Just displaying great hands. He was a great route runner. All his routes were crisp, everything like that. Big shout out to, his wide receiver coach, Donald Britt. I know he's been working with him extensively. That's DeMarian from Westover right there. He's going to be a big-time player. We got Paul Oxendon right there going into one-on-one drills. It was just good to see, man. Chandler received one of the top 5 awards for the receiver group. So he did receive an invitation to the Elite 100 that's going to be at Durham County Stadium in early May. The only thing that stopped him from getting the overall MVP award and the Rivals 3-stripe invite has to be he just has to work on reeling the ball in. Like I said, he had great routes, exceptional routes. That's what really stuck out to him early. A lot of coaches were asking me, hey, is that kid from, Scotland County, where's he? I'm like, no, he's a Purnell Sweat Ram, But, he's a great route runner, everything like that. Just kind of have to work on reeling the ball in, high pointing the ball, things like that. But getting separation and things like that from DBs was not a problem for him. He was just out there dominating all day, and he knew that he was going to stand out with his speed. So, like I told him, it was good to, kind of compare that up against, those are some of the top DBs in the state.
Yeah.
Some of those kids out there had 6, 7, 8, 9 picks last year. You get what I'm saying? But he definitely, him going to the Elite 100, I told him, I said, that's going to be the best of the best competition. These are going to be the guys that has 3 stars or 4 stars, things like that. You're already on the right track. So, just take that momentum heading into the VTO Elite 100, and he's definitely going to turn some heads. He's already have people already asking who this kid is. So, I told him, I said, just keep on staying on the straight and narrow. And then, like I said, this VTO camp is going to be very, very big for him.
Yeah,
sure.
Brave Boy, along with maybe Quashik Breeden from Lumberton and Jordan Waters from Fairmont, are easily the three best receivers in this area right now. And those two, Brave Boy and Breeden, are going to be the next big things as seniors, along with Waters. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do. I know. We also talked about Josh Williams, another guy really rode under the radar. He's really been a quiet guy, and just been quiet with the program. What did you see from him? Maybe he's a big guy at the body.
Oh man, he's a big body, and something I saw in the individual drills with him is he has deceptively light feet work. You know, I mean, he was going through the bags. I mean, he wasn't getting tangled up, wasn't tripping over his own feet. He's an athletic kid, but he's also young at the same time too. So, you know, just kind of getting a feel for him. That experience was one of those things. This is just showing me where I'm at, you know, in comparison to maybe some of the other, because I believe he plays left tackle. I believe that's what he told me, he plays left tackle. So, I mean, comparing, you know, I mean, we had some left tackles out there that were 3-star, 4-star guys, you know. I mean, so for him to be a young kid out there, getting that tutelage, getting that coaching, I mean, you had a plethora of, you know, ex-college and, you know, NFL free agent guys out there coaching. So for guys like Josh Williams, Rufus Harris, I mean, those are going to be great O-linemen for Swift. I mean, they have the size. I feel like they have the athletic ability. But camps like that, I feel like that kind of helps project them to where they want to be going into the season and the spring workouts and everything like that. But like I said, Josh Williams definitely has some interesting skill sets. You know, he has a deceptive, like I said, he's deceptively fast with his footwork, everything like that. And also I saw him, you know, repositioning his hands and regrouping his hands in the one-on-one drills, and that's something that's big for an O-lineman, especially, you know, trying to get control of a block and everything like that. So I definitely saw some good things from Josh Williams for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned Glenn Young and Matthews from Jack Britt. What did you see from Matthews, especially among those linebackers?
Dominant all day. Aggressive linebacker. I mean, you know, he was one of those kids that you could tell in every drill that, you know, he wanted to hit somebody. Yeah. You know, he kind of hated the fact of that, you know, it was light contact, but I mean, just complete athlete. He was named the overall linebacker MVP of the camp, so he will receive a Rivals 3-stripe invite. And Glenn Young, man, something that I did not know about Glenn Young is he's actually a great pass blocker. You know, I mean, Ryan Houston, former UNC running back, actually said it. He was like, man, this kid, you know, I don't know who he is, but he's probably the best pass blocker that we have in the running back group. And that was over 35, 40 kids.
Yeah.
You know, needs to get a little softer hands. That's the only thing. He had some drops, you know, on some swing routes, things like that. You gotta bring those in. Those are the easy money makers. You get what I'm saying? But I mean, when it came to the one-on-one drills, pass pro was probably his best thing of the day. And then also when they had to do the one-on-one, you know, make the guy miss. I mean, he has some moves too. I watched Glenn's film. I went back and watched his film. He's more so of a power guy when we watched him this past year, you know, running through a lot of kids, things like that. Didn't really see many one cuts and things like that from him. So it was good to see that from him at the camp. He didn't get an invite or anything, but it definitely is a bright spot for him. It's definitely showing that, you know, compared to some of these D1 guys, he can keep up.
Yeah, and he was certainly impressed me, especially this season. Jack Britt really surprised in the Sand Hills Athletic Conference. They beat Richmond, and he was a big part of that at running back. And I didn't get to see him against Purnell Sweat, but I saw his stats throughout the season. There was no doubt he was an elite elite running back in this conference. And so we also had, speaking of the Sand Hills Athletic Conference, over in Scotland, you said there was a late signee that you wanted to tell us about.
Absolutely. Khalil Smith, slot receiver, punt return, kick return, signed to Shaw University. So congratulations to him. He was a good player. He's a very confident player on the field. That's the thing. A lot of guys, you know, riled around him just because his competitive effort and nature. You know, he might not have been the best player on the team. However, like I said, he brought that fight and that spirit every game, and I'm glad to say he got an opportunity to play on the next level.
Oh, yeah, and another signing in the Robeson County area, right across the county line from Maxton, is Monte Wilkerson, a point guard from Red Springs. He averaged 13 points a game, almost 4 assists a game for the Red Devils. It was a big part. He's been a 4-year starter for the varsity team, just a really big piece of that team. And it was good to see him. He signed with Marion Military Institute over in Alabama, coached by a former Red Springs assistant coach there. So it was a good connection. Seems we'll hope the best for him going out there. And it's a 2-year school, so he's hoping that Coach Glenn Patterson said, I think that Monte is a mid-major quality point guard. And we'll see what happens from there. Also in Robeson County, we also have some wrestling. We had the all-county team come out this week, and with 9 players from Purnell Sweat and 5 from Lumberton on the 14-player list, along with the Player of the Year and Coach of the Year both being claimed by Purnell Sweat. So what do you got for that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Rami McNeil was Wrestler of the Year, Purnell Sweat. Absolutely dominated all year long. I want to say he finished, first in regionals, third in states in the finals or something like that.
And he was also the Sand Hills Athletic Conference.
Yeah, man, he was just a complete, just a complete animal all year. It was great. Purnell Sweat had a great year as far as wrestling goes. And to see them put 9 guys on the list is just absolutely amazing. Congrats to Coach Barnes and those guys. They're doing great. They have a great thing going on over there. And then Lumberton's 5 guys as well. I mean, those guys competed all year. But Sweat kind of took the show, man. This was their year as far as wrestling goes. And hopefully we see a lot of those guys come to UNCP in the fall. UNCP boasts one of the best wrestling programs around the area, on this side of the country for sure, especially in the D2 level. So it'll be good, for those guys to stay at home and then still get a chance, get a taste of that top tier, program in UNCP's wrestling. So it'll be good to see, and I hope the best for all of them. But yeah, it's just astounding to see those many guys from Sweat to make that list. It was just great to see.
Yeah, Purnell Sweat had a banner year for sure. Their first time in the state dual playoffs at the NCHSAA level. And they went all the way to the regional finals, lost to Cary, just a normal powerhouse, and they ended up, Cary went on to win the state championship, so it was much expected there, but still a great year for Purnell Sweat with Coach Nicky Barnes. You mentioned some guys going to UNCP to wrestle. I think that from what he said, there's several guys that have Coach O.T. Johnson has reached out to. Could very well see Will Deese was a state qualifier. He finished 6th at the state, placed at the state as 6th, and he's been one of the guys that OT has really reached out to. So we'll see from there what happens. The 5 guys from Lumberton, all 5 went to states. I mean, there was obviously, basically it was with Robeson County sending 13 wrestlers to state, it was basically just pick whoever that went to states. I mean, at whatever weight class. I mean, there was from top to bottom. Robeson County's turning into a wrestling hotbed, for sure. For sure. And so we'll go into Slugfest now with Robeson County Slugfest starting this weekend. We've got a couple brackets to show you. If we can get it put up here, we'll start off with the baseball. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the inside the baseball side, because right there you go all the way from top to bottom. There's a lot of parity. I mean, even starting out at Hoke is the 1 and West Bladen is the 8. Hoke ended up losing last night. Purnell Sweat Lumberton 4-5 matchup. It's
going to be a great game.
It will be a great game because, I mean, neither team has really established themselves right now. Purnell Sweat just grabbed its first win of the season against Jack Britt last night, 4-2. Lumberton's struggling. Fairmont's really seeming to find their groove with Jaden Freeman, Skylar Hunt going along with Seth Thorndike and Randy Floyd going up against South Rob. Those top 2 games, Red Springs, St. Paul's, and South Robson, Fairmont, were played Tuesday. So just 5 days later, they're going to be playing on Saturday. It'll be interesting to see what happens, the adjustments. South Robinson fell to Fairmont. It wasn't even a close game, really, but for Red Springs, St. Paul's, that was a 2-1, really a pitcher's duel. We'll see from there. But who would you say are some teams that you really think could be some surprises or just some favorites in this?
Well, right now, my early favorite would definitely be Fairmont. I mean, they're 7-3 on the year. I want to say, like you said, in that South Rock, I want to say beat them like 7-8-1. So it was a blowout. But also, like I said, you can never count out a team like Purnell Sweat or Lumberton in the Slugfest. I mean, it's kind of like that's their whole groove and things like that. Well, definitely right now, I mean, Fairmont is just having a great year, man. Just on the whole, just in the whole grand spectrum of their athletics. I mean, football was, kind of subpar, but their basketball team is just amazing. And like I said, baseball is starting off red hot. So definitely, I don't know if it's something in the water or what, man, but they definitely got a good thing going on down there. So I definitely, like I said, that 1 o'clock game against South Rob would definitely be a good one to see. No South Rob is going to come in there with a little chip on their shoulder. Like I said, losing that last matchup yesterday, 7-1. So that's definitely going to be something to see. And also Hoke, I mean, number 1 seeded Hoke. They're coming off a loss yesterday, so that's tough. Yeah, that's tough. So like I said, we can't just look at those seedings and automatically put them in the championship game. So like I said, every game is honestly a toss-up, man. Every game is a toss-up, so it'll definitely be a good one to see. If I had to make my pick personally, I think the Golden Tornadoes will probably pull it out. Though.
Yeah, they seem to really have the best so far in the county. I haven't got to see Hoke play, but Fairmont's got Randy Floyd, a UNCP signee, who's really played well, pitched well for them. And it's like you said, Purnell, you never know. They've been to 2 straight championship games. Could try to make it 3, depending on how they play. But it all comes down to, with the Slugfest, it all comes down to pitching. I mean, you've got to have to worry about, have you got 3 arms that can get you there? I think Purnell's got maybe an arm, maybe 2 that can really get through the quality that's in this field. I mean, you've seen Jeremiah Locklear transfer from St. Paul's, really controlled the tournament last year. Eugene Wilkins, their number 2 for Sweat, held Pinecrest, a really solid team last week. Took them all the way to extra innings, and he's held them really held them in check. Lumberton, their pitching has been suspect, but if they can get past, they can use their bats to get past Purnell
Very
Sweat.
true. They have the hitters. They have the hitters for sure.
Yeah, and then we'll have to see what Hoke has to throw. But then again, like we say, it'll come down to pitching. Whoever's got the best pitching staff. And we'll go over to the softball bracket now. So it's a little different setup here.
Very different.
But it seems like it's been the two teams that have really been dominant in the area as 1 and 2 in Lumberton and Hoke. Lumberton has South Robb in the 7 p.m. game, and Hoke will play Red Springs. Just a little area rivalry there at 4 p.m. The 10 o'clock game is actually going to be Purnell Sweat, West Bladen, and St. Paul's and Fairmont will be the 1 p.m. game. So, Dolphus, when you see that bracket, what are you seeing?
Like you said, it's just like with baseball, man. It's just a toss-up. I mean, all these teams, like you said, we can't really get too caught up in seedings. You never can get caught up in seedings. You never know. It's just like with baseball. It's going to come down really to the pitching. And also, I mean, I'm looking at another low seed. I mean, Red Springs softball against number 2 Hoke. Don't be surprised if we see an upset day 1. I'm telling you, Red Springs has some very athletic girls on their softball team, for sure. I mean, some very athletic outfitters. I think that can really help them get past, a powerhouse like Hoke. I mean, Hoke is they're like the big bad wolf when it comes to the baseball and softball team, fields and everything like that. So I could definitely see Red Spring upsetting them. West Bladen Purnell Sweat is going to be a good game as well because, like we said, Purnell, their whole thing is the slugfest. At the same time, West Bladen softball has proven to be very solid in the past, so we have to keep an eye on that as well. And then the South Robb Lumberton game, I think Lumberton probably take that one.
Yeah,
sure.
Lumberton is looking like the team in the area to beat right there with Hoke.
For sure.
Purnell Sweat, West Bladen, those two teams have taken all but one of the championships in the Slugfest short history on the softball side. And like you said, with Red Springs right now, they started off the season in bad shape. They didn't have their pitcher, Caitlin Colbert, comes back, and they're actually playing well. They took Fairmont to the extreme, and they can hang with teams now, I think, with her. But we'll see what happens in that 4-5 matchup. It's really a toss-up. I mean, St. Paul's looked like a very good team that beat Fairmont earlier in the year, but Fairmont looks like he could come back. But I think, honestly, it has to come down to, I don't know, Lumberton. If I had to predict the bracket right now, I'd say it'd be a Lumberton-St. Paul's semifinal against the Purnell Sweat Hoke. And to be honest, right now how Purnell Sweat's playing, I think I'd take a Purnell Sweat upset over Hoke. I mean, just right now they've got the pitching, they've got the hitting.
They have it.
And then they could set up the backyard brawls, what they call it on the football field. I don't know what they call it on the softball field, but Purnell Sweat Lumberton Championship could be the two areas' best teams, the best chance for either one of these teams. But Lumberton has to figure out their pitching a little bit. They've been able to hit the ball well. They hit 4 home runs out last night against Pinecrest, but can they get the pitching to help back the hitting up? And I mean, that's been a little suspect right now with Morgan Britt. She's changed her mechanics around. She was the co-player of the year in the conference last year, and a UNCW verbal commit, and UNCW said, "Here, let's have you pitch like how we like you to pitch." And
that's all right.
We weren't sure. She's still trying to get a hold of it, but it seems like there's been glimpses of that she can reach that mark that she was at last year. So it'd be interesting. It's fun. 3 days of baseball and softball.
It's going to be an intense 3 days, for sure.
Well,
especially if we get that Purnell Sweat Lumberton matchup in the softball championship. Oh, man, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would just be great for the area, for sure.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And we'll have to get you out there. I'll definitely have to catch a game or two. That Fairmont, I got to go see the Fairmont boys play, for sure. And then, like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing that Hope Red Springs as well as that Purnell West Bladen. So we're gonna have a fun little weekend. Yeah, it always is a fun little weekend, and that comes up Saturday, and then the second round is on Monday, and then the championship and the placing games are on Tuesday. So I think that'll do it for here at Dolphus. So we appreciate you coming in the studio and talking a little football, basketball, wrestling, baseball, about everything.
It's always a pleasure. I love it.
Well, I appreciate it. And for Dolphus Pearson, I'm Jonathan Bim, and the whole studio here at WNCP TV. Thank you.